wall we built, I used a double stud design, but I left one stud taller than the other. That leaves a ledge for the truss to sit on and a taller stud to attach the heel of the truss to. It's sort of like a modified post frame style. That meant that Courtney could set each truss down and I could quickly attach it to the pony wall to secure it into place. After setting 4 of the trusses, I decided that it was time to square everything off and brace it before placing any more. And so I built a questionable work platform for the skid steer and put all of my trust into Courtney to shuttle me around. It's a good thing that she's a great equipment operator. I added the first roof purlin and attached each truss to it at the proper spacing. Then I worked my way down and added a few more purlins. That locked the top of the trusses in at the right spacing, but the bottom still had a twist going on, so we added a rat run. The rat run then locked the bottom of the trusses into the proper spacing. At this point things were looking better, but the whole section was not square or plumb. I used ratchet straps to pull everything into place and then added diagonal bracing to lock it down. Then we got to work setting the next set of trusses. At this point we had the hang of things and we really started cruising. It was such a fun transformation seeing the roof come to life. The last 2 trusses were more difficult to attach because I didn't have that pony wall stud sticking up. Courtney held the truss steady and I added a couple of roof purlins from the previously attached truss to hold the new truss into place. And before we knew it, we had 12 trusses set and secured. It was really starting to look like a building. But at this point, I was starting to feel like we might lose the race to beat Winters, so we called in some reinforcements to help with the roof. We added fascia and some stained cedar boards to the front truss to dress things up and make the entire building look a lot more finished. At this point, it was time to conquer my fear of heights and start putting the metal roof on. We used the skid steer to get things as close as possible and try to minimize the number of times we have to go up and down the ladders. I harnessed up and headed onto the roof. I squared off my leading edge and started screwing down the first sheet of metal. Working one section at a time, we would square off the sheet, then mark each hole before attaching it with self-tapping screws. I personally don't like pre-drilling the stack of metal. It does save time, but I find that as we slide each sheet off, the metal from drilling the holes scratches the sheet below. And to my surprise, even though we're on a 512 pitch roof, a level actually works great to make a straight line to mark the screw holes. And then a discovery. It turns out that I actually squared off our first sheet to a fascia board that wasn't square. Whoops. And that meant that we had to cheat each sheet down a little bit to get things back straight. Having the containers to walk on are like permanent scaffolding, and it made this entire process so much easier and safer. Then we ran out of a container to stand on, so it was up to me to get the last 2 sheets up. We ripped the last sheet widthwise with metal shears.